Ladies and gentlemen, good morning or good afternoon or good evening. It depends on the continent, of course. I hope you are well. We see some of you are already online and some more participants will join us in the next minutes. I see most of our former students belonging to the different programs, from the MBA in International Business to the Master in Insurance and Risk Management, to the Origini program, to the Executive MBA. It is a pleasure to welcome all of you and also those that are joining. Eugenio, un saluto in italiano.
Buongiorno professore.
Anche a Claudia. Okay, great. But today we will use English language because Marina.
Hi. Hi guys. Nice to see you.
We will use Maria Nidia. Buenas tardes o buenos días.
Buenos días. Buenos días.
Добрый день or добрый вечер.
Добрый день, профессор. Добрый день.
Добрый день, Artem. Okay, so it is my huge pleasure to see some of you in front of the screen, and it is our pleasure of MIB Trieste School of Management to welcome the proposal that one of you, it is Artem Voitkov from Moscow, Russia. I thank you very much, Artem, for proposing that, to organize a conference with alumni that are living almost in every continent of the world, because today's moment is very difficult, very delicate for everyone. We are facing a huge pandemic. Nobody was expecting that almost 10 months ago. It started in China. Also in Europe, we were thinking that China is very far and would never join Europe. And then the virus arrived in Europe, and it arrived in Africa, it arrived in America, and also in Oceania. So nobody is invulnerable, unfortunately. And as you may, of course, share, everyone had to face a huge change in the daily way of life, in a huge change in the working experience, a huge change in the social relations, a huge change in the transportation, a huge change in almost everything. And now we are adapting because, you know, the human being is an animal who is able to adapt itself to the environment. We must adapt, we must react to that, and of course, we must find a new solution for the future. And that's why the idea of Artem was extremely brilliant, because it would be very nice now to share some experiences and to give you the floor and to hear how everyone is more or less facing this emergency, and what are the possible solutions, how the world will cooperate to get out from that, and how much the huge competition which is in front of us will leave the floor to a more and a deeper cooperation among the different people. We are, of course, reading daily the newspapers. We know what's going on, but sometimes we just read the articles and we don't know exactly what's going on in a specific country. Only those that are living there, they know exactly what's going on and how the news that are spread through the TV or through the media are accurate or not accurate. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, we do not have any limited time. That's why I will not be absolutely long in my introduction. And we thought that we can organize this interesting, I would say, conference by just putting some rules, some very simple rules. Since we do not have a limited time, we would like everyone, those that would like to take the floor, to speak for not more than 5 minutes, if it's possible, by introducing yourself, by telling us what are you doing. As you remember, we were putting on our screen on the MIB website, we were asking 5 main questions. How has the virus affected everyone's normal life? And what changes in our daily working environment have been required as a result of the virus? How have different administrations reacted to the emergency? What might be the impact on business in the future? And what actions could MIB Trieste School of Management take to support the MIB community and beyond? Those were some of the questions, but maybe you have also more questions. So we will kindly ask you to use the chat. You have, of course, access to our chat to tell us if you want to take the floor. And if you take the floor, we will follow the list, the chronological list of those that are asking to take the floor. And then when you take the floor, please do not speak for more than 5 minutes. And after every statement, I would say, speech, we might also ask some questions. We cannot ask hundreds of questions, but we can take a couple of questions for every speech. And then we will go through to the conclusions after some of the interventions, and I will try to sum up more or less what indication, what interesting, of course, element may appear during the MIB alumni conversation. I think that before I read some of your sentence on the chat, and before I receive some of your requests to take the floor, I think that it would be appropriate to give the floor to Artem, who was the person who was conceiving this. I particularly appreciate that because Artem is living in Moscow. Moscow is not really a village, it's a town of more than 12 million inhabitants. To take, of course, to go from one side to the other side of Moscow by metro, it takes very often much more than 30 minutes or 45 minutes, sometimes more than 1 hour. And so the life there is not so easy. But then we can go from Russia to Croatia, to Argentina, to Chile, to Italy, to any sort of area. So Artem, would you like to take the floor and to start to tell us how the situation is going on in Russia? You know that sometimes we have different perspectives of Russia. In Europe, Russia sometimes is not considered to be the most transparent country of the world, but that happens in many other countries, including the European countries. One of the most important questions was how the European countries reacted to the virus and which sort of information was given to the population, the real information or a corrected information by the government for internal reasons. Please, Arthur, take the floor.
Buongiorno a tutti ragazzi e grazie mille. Professore, okay, I'm gonna speak in English. Thanks for your introduction. First of all, I'm pretty glad to see all my former colleagues and friends from MBA 24. Hi guys, and first of all, I didn't believe so much that my modest suggestion will find an understanding in the school, but it could be interesting, but it's really topical for us nowadays. Pandemic problem, in my opinion, just started. Unfortunately, it has mainly negative impacts in several aspects, such as social, such as economic, such as political. Social, first of all, we see how many people died, unfortunately. Many countries just locked down, absolutely, that imposed finally economic restrictions. People could not go to work, get money for paying bills, get food, and so on. We mainly monitor the news from Europe or America, but we forgot, for example, the countries from less developed. It's a really terrible situation for the world when our economy just shut down. According to World Bank, our economy this year will lose from 5 to 8%. Just believe 1 month it simply didn't work at all. Such industries as transportation or aviation, retail just stopped existing, and people faced the necessity to shift from the traditional business models to some new standards, but we don't understand what really we should get in the future to cope with this situation. Economic problems cause political one. We see how populists all over the world take popularity. They became more, they take a floor, affect the policy in their countries, and we notice how population mod just taken our point of view. I think we got more aggressive with some aspects. But what about the real economy? For example, I work in a transportation industry. I'm not kidding, but in nowadays, I think in Russia particularly, transportation companies working in the container sector, in rail transportation, we face some even positive effects of this pandemic. Russia's vast country will stay between Europe and China. China still has an export-oriented economy. They sell a lot, massively. They sell goods, services all over the world. And once governments all over the world suspended flights between each other, transit countries such as Russia or Belarus, even Poland, start involving the more cargoes on a railway system, so that to bring them from China to Europe and vice versa. So in this aspect, we really noted the positive effects. However, in my opinion, in the long term, we will not benefit from this situation, and we need the solutions. Otherwise, the house will rise. It's a fact, and we must work together and talk. That's why I suggested to make this session and meeting. Probably that's it, and I try to describe the situation as is.
Thank you, transportation.
In my country,
yeah. Thank you, Artem. Transportation is one of the crucial sectors as far as we we can see in every country, we have been, of course, assisting to the reduction of transportation in order to preserve the health, of course, rules and to respect the health rules, but that has been affecting, of course, the transportation sector. And this will be one of the main question mark of our conversation. How can we, of course, recover from that? Shall we multiply the tools of transportation, or shall we change the rules? But the changing of the rules, of course, may provoke other negative effects on the pandemic. Okay, now I see that one of our former MBA students who is from Italy, but she's living in London now, Alessandra Staccioni, it's a pleasure to have you with us. I'd like you to give you the floor and tell us first, how are you feeling in this moment, and how is the situation in the UK? We have other students living in the UK. I see Federico Rizzo in front of us, and other students that are living there. You, of course, you may intervene whenever you wish. Tell us on the chat, please. Stefania, take the floor, please.
Thank you very much. It's when I saw the invite this afternoon, I said to myself, I should really join this webinar, this get together. Can you hear me well? Does it sound good enough?
Yes, very well.
Excellent. So I'm an oldie. I attended the MBA 1996, 1997. I had a great time, and it has helped me massively from a career perspective. In London, the situation is quite different from Italy. Personally, we've been in London for 15 years, and the way the pandemic has been managed has been probably below expectations. Professor Pilotto, you mentioned that there is another alumni from London, but clearly, as an Italian, now British citizen after 15 years, I felt the governmental guidelines from Italy were clearer than the UK ones. From an economic point of view, we've experienced one of the worst recessions recorded on time, with a contraction of the GDP by about 20%. Some entire industries have been severely impacted: hospitality, entertainment, travel, with multiple airlines either filing for bankruptcy or having to lay off a huge number of employees. On the other hand, the pandemic has also positively accelerated some changes. Online is taking off. All retailers had to step up their presence in terms of online delivery. Amazon has had good success. And the healthcare companies, like the one where I'm working now, they're in a good position because people, if anything, are looking for healthcare solutions. So overall, a very negative impact, but with some positives. Online retail acceleration, and we've been working from home seamlessly since mid-March, seamlessly. So we have now proven to the business, or many businesses have proven, that we don't need to be physically together to be able to continue trading or going on with as usual. You know, Zoom or Microsoft Teams have been phenomenal tools.
Good. Good. Thank you very much for your contribution. Maybe we will listen to somebody else from the UK, but we try to switch from one continent to the other. As you know, we have people living also in many other continents, such as in South America, such as in Africa and South Africa, and in Asia. I would like maybe to leave the floor to Alonso Cantero, who is a friend from Mexico, but I don't know if he's living in Mexico or if he's living somewhere else. Alonso, please take the floor.
Ciao, Pilotto.
Hello. Hello.
Un gusto saludarte. Hello, everybody. It's very nice to see you all here. And when I heard about this conference, I immediately signed my name in. I'm very happy to see you all here. I'm in Mexico. I'm in the city port of Veracruz, which is in the east side of the country, in the Gulf of Mexico. It's right in the middle. Here in our city, it's been quite complicated. Not only in Veracruz, but in all Mexico, it's been kind of a mess. We have been trying to fight between what the government is telling us to do and what the citizens is willing to do, because we feel that our government is trying to take this in the best peaceful way, somehow to say it. They are trying to face the pandemic in somehow not make it to share panic with the people. They are trying to control the numbers. So we believe that the numbers are quite higher than what they are telling us. Right now, Mexico is still in the way up of the people that is getting the disease and the people that is actually dying. We are number 3 behind Brazil, in the number 2, and behind the United States. So it's quite difficult to face it, because you never know what is really happening. If you go out and you speak with your family and friends, probably they will tell you, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, that this was not even true, that it was a lie, that it was some kind of conspiranoic thing. And while the time was passing by, we at certain point we knew someone that was having the disease, and then right now we all know someone that actually have died. So for the social thing, it's being taken seriously right now, but I'm talking like probably 4 or 5 months later. Even we saw what was happening in Spain, what was happening in Italy, or what was happening in China. It was like you were having the truth behind you. You were having the future behind you, and we didn't follow the right instructions, and we didn't like actually believe it. So the social thing is like that, but the economic thing is even more difficult, because as you were saying, that the people before me, the countries are getting closed, the economics are getting collapsed. Many industries are on hold still. So Mexico is mostly a manufacturing company. We manufacture a lot of things for American industries and for American products, and from all other cities in the world, even in Europe, in Asia. But most of these industries are getting collapsed. So it's a difficult situation. We believe that probably by the end of the year, we are going to face the flat of the curve. That it's getting up, the people that is getting the disease. And probably by the end of the year, we are going to get this a little bit more on balance. And hopefully, if there is or there isn't the cure, the vaccine, that is the so-called Russian vaccine or whatever that they are trying to find out, we believe that it's going to happen very soon. Probably by 2021, it's going to be the new normality, the new kind of things that we are going to face, that we are going to get much more get used to home office. It's going to be for many companies something that will apply right away, and that will stay probably longer, not just during the pandemic or after it. It's getting a new reality for many industries also, that probably is cheaper and it's easier to send the people working at their homes. So I think that this is going to be also a new way of living for everyone.
Great, thank you very much, Alonso, for your speech. As far as you say, we are very scared about what's going on in Mexico, in Brazil, and in other countries. As a matter of fact, we have some friends from Brazil. I would like to give the floor to Ricardo Romanelli Neto if he's there. And then after that, probably we will switch to Uruguay, and I will ask Lucia Fuentes to say something. Ricardo, bon dia.
Bom dia. How are you, Professor? Thank you for the opportunity. I also greet some friends that I know, like Agustina and Gabriel, who are from my class that I see are here, and also all the other friends I don't know. Nice to meet you. To keep things simple and not take too much of your time, I don't want to get political, but Brazil has been one of the countries that has dealt worse with the pandemic. The thing here is that we did not do a serious quarantine good enough to stop the virus, but we did one that was strong enough to kill companies. So in the end, we did not stop the virus, and companies are suffering a lot. And this thing has been dragging on. We could have dealt with it in 2-3 months, and we're going now to 6 months. So speaking of international trade, which is the business I am in, international food trade, it has been very affected. I import food products to sell to restaurants, and this is the sector that I think all over the world is the most affected one. Our exchange rate has gone up a lot, 38% only this year. So the cost of products is higher than ever. But in the domestic market, prices are lower than ever because companies need to sell and they need to survive, and consumers are not buying. So it's a tricky equation. You have higher costs and you have to sell cheaper. So it's not been easy. Unemployment has been higher than ever. We are having the biggest unemployment rate in the history of Brazil right now, around 14%. And I'm not sure what's going to take to make things better here. I think only the vaccine will solve things. I think all over the world this is the case, but here more than other places because it's really getting out of hand. Brazil is a huge country, so in the first moment, it was more concentrated in São Paulo and some other bigger cities, but now the virus has spread to the countryside. I live in Curitiba, which is a town 400 kilometers to the south of São Paulo, and we had the worst moment in July here. Hospitals were full and a very bad situation. I think everyone has seen something like that in their countries at some moment. Now it has passed a little bit and the virus is spreading more in other cities. So these are tricky times. We have to first try to survive and take care of our business, take care of our jobs, and try to do things the best way possible. Also, I think about home office, our colleague was just saying that he thinks it's going to be a reality in Mexico. Here in Brazil, there is already an estimation that 25% of companies should keep some level of home office at least until next year. And I think that could be accurate because many businesses are starting to realize they don't need to pay rent for big offices or all the other costs involved. And some people also prefer to work from home. I myself have been working from home this whole time, but also some people in my company are not that comfortable working from home. I see that they have some difficulties, and I think we're going to have to see case by case. And also in the end, human interaction is necessary in our lives, and I don't think this can drag on for much longer. So I believe maybe in a hybrid model where some days you work from home and some days not. Some meetings that would have been a phone call, you can turn into a Zoom chat now. I think this is something very good that the pandemic has brought, because you can see face to face and people are more used to this technology, and maybe that makes it easier to do business on an international level, and I'm very hopeful that that's the case. And Professor, if there's something else you'd like to know about Brazil specifically, I'm available.
Thank you very much, Ricardo, for your speech. We have been reading, of course, that at the beginning there was not consensus on what the leadership of Brazil was doing, and probably now after a few months you can, of course, evaluate if the decision were good or not. We do not want to enter into political subjects, of course. Every leadership had to face this huge problem, and we had a different solution. We don't know now which country had the best results. Before going more in deep with the South American countries, I would like also to give the floor to an Italian participant who is Luca Cesare. He is also in Brazil. Luca, are you online? Luca? Luca Cesare? Okay, so probably we will give the floor to him a bit later. Lucia, Luca Cesare, now I see you. Are you on? You are on the screen. Can you open your microphone, please? Luca, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. Maybe you have a problem of microphone. No, now it's, no. Okay, look, I give you some minutes so you recover you fix your microphone, and meanwhile I give the floor to another participants, and then you will be back on the conversation. So Lucia, are you in Uruguay now? Because Uruguay is a small country. Then we'll go to Argentina. We have several participants from Argentina, but before going from Brazil to Argentina, we pass through Uruguay. Lucia, are you online?
Hello, Professor, and everybody. Yes, I'm in Uruguay. I'm at home.
Good.
Yes. Here the situation, as I told you, is a little better than in other countries. Still, of course, we're dealing with all the problems, the social and economic problems. And besides that, when the COVID started here, that was the 13th of March, we had a new government, like it was a 2 or 3 weeks new government, that after 15 years changed from a left government to right government. So another problem that we are facing is that the people are resist
Yes.
the things that the government is trying to do to help the country. So even though we are doing well, when the government says, okay, you should stay at home to take care, the people are resisting a little bit everything that's coming from the government, because in our capital city, that is where the half part of the people of our country live, they are mostly the opposition of this new government.
In Montevideo, right?
Yes, in Montevideo.
And you have a family. You have children.
Yes, I have children. I'm pregnant too now.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. But fortunately, now the schools are open, at least a part-time basis. Also we have classes online for the children. So that part is very well, it's taken care of, I guess. And transportation and hospitals are open and operating normally also. However, the buses are full, so masks are very required to use. And well, I think that's it. The government with the army are helping a lot, giving food to people. And that's a good thing. And also the community, like the neighbors, are gathering to give food to the people that can't have a dish for lunch. So that's a very nice thing of our people. And well, more or less that is the situation here in Uruguay. Sorry for my English.
Thank you so much, Lucia. It was a pleasure to listen to your voice again. And probably the issue is that since Uruguay is quite a small country, maybe it was easier for the authorities to control the situation when the population is reduced. Even though in Montevideo there's more than 1 million people living there, but in the whole Uruguay, the population is not huge and probably is better to control. But
yes, for sure. Yes, we also have in the borders, we have people control the police controlling the borders also, and so it was more easier. Yes.
Good. Thank you very much, Lucia. We have also many other participants from Brazil. We have Mari, we have Larissa, we have Gabrielle. If anyone wants to intervene, please write on the chat and I will give you the floor. But now, before going back to Brazil, I would like to go to Argentina. We have Roberto Garlatti, we have Fabricio, we have Marco Silvestro. Who wants to start to say something from Argentina? Roberto, are you online? Roberto Garlatti. Roberto? No. Fabricio? No. Marco, it's your turn.
Hi, Professor. How are you?
Very well. Nice to see you.
Well, about Argentina, we started quarantine when we saw the cases in Spain and Italy. The president first suggested in maybe the first days of March for older people to stay in, for whomever who could work from home to start working from home. And I did. I go to the office normally once a week or twice a week. I normally work from home. But then I started not going anymore, actually. And on the 20th of March, they determined to go in full lockdown. And we've been in lockdown for 160 days. They have loosened some restrictions. Some restrictions are still in place. We cannot actually, I live in Buenos Aires, but my family is from Cordova. And I haven't seen them since Christmas. And ironically enough, I could take a plane and go to Italy because I'm an Italian citizen, but I cannot drive my car to Cordova because it's not allowed to leave the city unless you're an essential worker or you have a special permit. Buenos Aires is a big city, but it's divided in, let's say it's divided in two because it's the metropolitan area surrounding the city. But if you live in the city, you cannot go to the metropolitan area unless you have a special permission, special authorization. So basically, there is a huge discussion whether the restrictions have affected the economy or it is the pandemics that have affected the economy here. Some people were claiming for everything to be open again, and in some provinces, as there were like fewer cases, many of the businesses went back to normality, but people don't want to go because they're afraid of getting COVID. But I think so far, either we did things right or we were lucky because even though we've had like 360,000 cases so far, detected cases, we've only had like 7,000 deceased, which is a lot of people, of course, and their real lives and people who have lost their beloved ones. But if you compare this with numbers that from Spain or Italy, it's a smaller number. And even though we have a younger population, they say that the older population affects the number of people who died. It's also one of the countries in Latin America with the oldest population. So I think regarding COVID, we've done pretty much okay. And we're very hopeful for the near future. They just announced that they are producing the Oxford vaccine here in Argentina and in Mexico. And they are producing it at risk. So meaning they're already producing it and they're waiting for the final results that will be done for November, they said. And if the results are positive, in January, they will start distributing the vaccine all over Latin America, the Oxford vaccine. And there have also been other trials here. The Pfizer vaccine is the German and American joint venture. Is also being tried here, and they will start trying in a few weeks the Chinese vaccine. That's pretty much it. And I think that the main difference that I see, I used to, in my case, I used to work like mostly from home, like all the time, maybe 4 days a week, now 5 days a week. what I realized is that when everybody gets used to this way, people start, you know, organizing meetings when it's really necessary. Before, people would just like, oh, let's meet, and then sometimes it was like a waste of time. The other thing is that you end up working more, because before this, people understood that if you had a meeting in one part of the city and then another meeting in another part of the city, you had to travel from one place to the other. Now they put meetings for you like every hour. So you finish one meeting, then you have another meeting, then you have another meeting, and then you have to execute things that have been decided during the meetings. So in my case, I end up working more hours than I used to before the pandemics.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you very much for your contribution from Argentina. Now let me see if Luca has fixed the microphone. Luca, are you able to speak? Luca? 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 Non funziona, Luca, non funziona il microfono. Just in case, you can write something on the chat and we can read your text. Okay, good. I also would like now to change a bit environment. Then I would like also to talk with Nicolas Oneto, who is from Chile, but he is not living in Chile now, I think. But before going to Chile, I would like to ask to a former participants of MIRM. She is Italian, but now she's living in Poland, I think in beautiful Krakow. Claudia, are you online?
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you very much for all the contribution. These were really interesting to understand how other countries are approaching this situation and dealing with it. Yes, I'm Italian. I'm living in Krakow right now, and I would like to use this example of Krakow because I think they have coped with the COVID quite well. Of course, there are plenty of cases as everywhere else in the world. But I saw from the company here that they immediately apply strict rules to avoid too much problem, let's say. They asked all of us to work from home immediately when the initial cases landed in Italy. And this, I think, helped to reduce the number of cases in Poland, at least at the beginning. We could see that the situation was quite stable. It increased only this summer, after June, when, of course, shops, restaurants, and so on and so forth were opened again. What I have appreciated from their approach, first of all, is the change of the working policy. So they immediately let us working from home, and they decided, not only the company for which I'm working for, but I know about many others corporations here, they decided to change their policy to let us work from home, no more only 1 day per week, but permanently at least 3 days per week. So despite the fact of the COVID, they will keep this policy also later on. And I think this is really much appreciated for almost all the employees. Of course, there are problems that you may know. People with children find it difficult sometimes to work from home, or people who don't have access to good internet connection. But in general, on average, I would say that people are happy with this. And on the other side, also the shops, at least here in Krakow, in the big city for sure, not in the village, they start selling their products online pretty quickly. So they didn't have to wait too long to organize themselves to offer such kind of service. And that I think also helped them not to lose too many revenues during this quarantine period. Now the situation is, constantly changing. So we don't know what will happen next, but I think that they really set like good rules on how to deal with it. For my perspective, is it a good example of how the situation was faced?
Thank you very much, Claudia, and take care of you in Krakow. Moreover, you raised two big issues. The first one is the smart working. And as you know, most of the experts consider that even though we will get out from the pandemic, the smart working will be increased in the future. And some companies and also some workers will discover that after all, you can work with your computer from home and it is not necessary to go daily in the office. Then we will have some social consequences on this. And the second big issue is the digital economy. Some stores, some shops, they start to sell with internet because people, they're not going out, they're not going to buy inside of the shops because of security reasons, and that's why they focus more their attention on the digital economy. Thank you so much, Claudia, for your intervention. Luca, are you available now to talk or not? I don't think so. Okay. No, non ti sentiamo, non ti sentiamo. Okay, let me go back to Brazil, where we have a friend who is riding bike for many kilometers. His name is Alexander Bigarella, who is laughing in front of the screen. And probably bike was one of the crucial solution to, on one side, to keep the distance from the other people and not to stay hours and hours at home. Alexander, which was your experience in this sense?
Hello, Professor Pilotto.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here talking with you. As Professor said, bicycle has a huge importance for me in my personal life since the beginning, since I was a child. And I was a participant of Origin in 2017. And once I got to Italy, my main goal was to develop some project for a bicycle company in Italy. And I went to trade shows trying to talk to companies, and unfortunately it was not possible. But since I was back in Brazil, I was trying to work for a bicycle company, and I hit this goal in the beginning of the pandemic time. So since March, I'm working for Specialized in Brazil. Specialized is an American bike company. And it's crazy to explain what happened in my life since March, because as Professor said, bicycles started to have an importance in people's life as never imagined before. So the sales increased dramatically. So we're having a lack of products in the market. The companies are not producing bikes enough. So it's crazy to explain what I'm living right now. But I'm deeply happy to be part of this change in the world.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you for your words. And now we start to see also Larissa Polidoro. We didn't see her in the screen. Maybe Larissa, you also want to add something. You are living in Brazil, am I right?
No, Professor. Hello, everyone. I'm from originally 17 as well. Alexander used to be my colleague, but at the moment I'm living in Switzerland. I don't know if someone already talked about Switzerland. So I'm here since the beginning of the last year, and the way that Swiss people deal with the pandemic is a little bit different. So I've been working from home since March, and even though I'm working in a pharma company in the production of vaccine and research, half of the company were fired in May. So the level of unemployment increased a lot here. So we stayed in quarantine from March until June, completely forbidden to go out. So all the restaurants, just supermarkets and pharmacy were open. But now with the beginning of the summer, everything becomes a little bit better. So at least I'm allowed to go and swim a little bit, enjoy a bit the weather. But it seems that here it's a little bit, how can I say, the way that they deal with the corona was much better when you compare to Brazil or South America. It's a little bit sad that I'm not allowed to go to Brazil and even leave the country. Otherwise, I have to pay a fine, 10,000 Swiss francs if I leave the country to go to South America. So I have to stay here alone. So thanks, Professor. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much. Muito obrigado, Lara. Now I have another friend from Brazil, who is Mariana Piri. And I asked her a question that Alessandro is asking. And he says, considering that we have alumni from Argentina and Brazil, both the countries have had more or less the same way of lockdown despite a completely different number of infected and dead, even in percentage of population. Why? Why the lockdown in Argentina has, in your opinion, Mari, produced less damages than the lockdown in Brazil?
Hi, Professor. Hi, everyone. Well, I think I was talking to Marco for a long time. So I think the main thing is because Argentina made the lockdown. And here in Brazil, we did not. It's like we were recommended to not leave. I can say for Florianopolis, that was where I live. We were asked to not leave, but a lot of people doesn't care about. And in the rest of Brazil, the lockdown was like for 15 days, 20 days, and not more. So it was very short time. So you cannot organize the things as the Argentinian made, like Marco is prohibited to go to his family's house or something. And here in the beginning, they tried to do this, but we have our main transportation on roads, so they cannot close the things. So I think the big difference is because of this. Here we try to do it, but not like Argentina.
Stefano, unmute your microphone, Stefano, please. Stefano?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mari. We also have Ursula Yamamoto from Brazil. Maybe Ursula, you also want to add something about your personal situation. You are working in São Paulo, am I right? Ursula, are you there? No, good, no problem. Maybe we will ask her later. And now let me go to the United States of America. We have a friend who is Lisa Roman. Lisa, are you online? Lisa?
Yeah, Professore, sì, sono qui.
Hello, Lisa, how are you?
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Where are you in the States?
I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on the East Coast.
Philadelphia. How is the situation?
For me personally, it's been interesting because I work for a landscape architecture firm that we would go into the office every day, and we went very quickly in early March to working from home. So it's been interesting to convert my home, which is not exactly set up for an office, but we have been able to remote into our offices. I also am a teacher at a local university, and to see how the school has responded as well. They've also made everything very accessible to the students to be able to remote into computers if the situation is, if you don't have a computer, to make the professors and the equipment available to the students. So one of the positive effects, I think, of this coronavirus is to see how quickly everyone has responded, even throughout the comments that have been said, how everybody just easily adapts to the situation to make the best of it.
We have been, thank you, Lisa, we have been, of course, suffering, watching and reading the figures concerning the US and how fast was the virus growing there. And Moreover, that has been, of course, creating a huge revolution also in the political framework. This year, you should elect the new president of the United States, but also
yes,
the convention were completely changed, and also all the habits concerning the US presidential campaign were completely changed, right?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, the handling of the coronavirus has become very political, and it's not necessarily a condition of what people, should be doing. As in some countries, I've heard that they've taken a more national stance on preventing the spread, but the politics, involving the politics, has made it an even more challenging situation.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you, and wonderful to see everybody.
Take care of you, Lisa.
You too.
Federico Rizzo, would you like to add something? Where are you staying there?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Professor. Well, thanks for the initiative. It was great, participating in this kind of debate, if you want to call it. So for all of you, I'm originally from Argentina, but I live in Scotland. I've been living in Scotland for quite a while, since I finished originally 12. And the situation here, I don't know if is Julia or Stefania, the other.
It's Stefania. Her name is Stefania.
Stefania. Okay. So comparing the situation between England and Scotland is slightly different. The governments here are quite independent. So Scotland, I think, reacted quite well. A little bit late though. But I do agree with, I think, that because it's a small country, Scotland has only 5 million inhabitants, probably it's more manageable, same as Uruguay. And even though they took the decisions quite late, they have managed the situation quite well as well. So I started with the lockdown in March, the second week in March, actually. And from that time, I've been working from home. The good thing is I wasn't much affected in terms of work, because I do work for technology at the moment, and that is how the world is moving from now on. Everything related with technology or automation is how it's going to be from now on. So in my case, it was okay. I didn't feel probably that the pandemic affected the business area where I work for, but it is true that it's been a massive challenge for the hospitality and tourism industry. And I live in Edinburgh, actually, and this city where that lives a lot from events and concerts and all kind of like social activities. So it has been affected quite bad in that sense. So yeah, that's pretty much it from from where I live. But I don't know if there's any specific question that you would like to ask me, or something that you like to know. You're on mute.
Thank you, Federico. It's interesting to be, when you say in Scotland, you are always in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, but the mind, the culture, the position
very different. Yeah.
in Edinburgh is different compared to London, of course. Thank you so much.
No worries.
There was also a question, I think, by Artem. I think it was a question for Lisa, who is in the US. Artem, I think, is saying, do you see any links between political and medical situation? I think there is a link, but Lisa, I would like to give you back the floor to tell us more how much you see the links between political, probably also political campaign, and the issue concerning health. Just give us your personal opinion in this.
Well, it again goes back to the political challenges. I believe in the beginning, what was being reported was that some of the politics behind, you know, our government were getting the protective equipment more difficult to get for our essential workers. So other companies started to step in and fill the voids that were necessary. And having a small lockdown that we did earlier in the spring, I believe, helped to alleviate some of the demand for the hospitals. I do have some friends that are in the health industry, and they've fortunately have seen, or unfortunately have seen the COVID virus, but fortunately they have not contracted it themselves. So whatever their exact institution is doing is working for their situation. So again, it's politics is, I think, holding up some of this lines of communication and the lines of supply. So but then we're being told that it's supply chain issues from other countries around the world, which are making things even more challenging. So we've had to look in other situations and other opportunities for trade and things like that to fill the voids that I suppose politics are creating.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I can say that also in Italy, of course, there is a huge link between politics and health now situation. And the leading class is, of course, trying to play in the best possible way its cards in order to prepare re-election in the next years. It depends if they are successful or not. We had also many quarrels in Italy about the way the government reacted. But in general, I think most of the citizens in Italy are quite satisfied about the reaction of the government, but we will see. We do not have, of course, to be too quick in answering to this. I also would like now to ask to a lady who is living in beautiful Croatia. Croatia is a land of tourism, and Marina is living, I think she's living on the coast. If I do not make mistakes, she's from Split or close to Split in beautiful Dalmatian. Or are you in Zagreb, Marina? I don't remember. Open your microphone, please, Marina.
That would be a good idea. It's very nice to see you and all of you, especially the guys from MBA 24. Actually, I'm living in Zagreb, but currently I'm in Opatija on my vacation, so I'm a bit maybe more positive than I should be maybe. But yeah, the situation is a bit tricky. At the beginning, our government imposed the lockdown quite soon, so we had quite low cases. So from that side, everything was okay. But in Croatia, like 1/5 of our GDP is from tourism. So we, I think, open our borders like one of the first countries because we are quite dependent on it. And until now, we had very, very good tourism season. Only around Split and that area, cases started to increase fast, but on the rest of Croatia, I think people managed to live with it quite well. So we have like cases, quite low number, which we could manage it. So, and I'm sure we won't have any lockdowns anymore because this heavily affected our economy. And I'm not sure, now we are only looking, please don't get me wrong, I don't think this is something we should joke about, it's quite serious, but we are looking only the numbers of the COVID and not comparing to other infections or diseases. So maybe this could also mislead us if we compare what the things it has done to us in a sense of economy and other social impacts, political impacts. So maybe just to think a little bit about it.
Thanks a lot, Marina. The issue of tourism is another huge issue. And here we have another expert on tourism because you know, MIB was also delivering a program, International Master on Tourism and Leisure. And we have Federica Candotti, who is an Italian participant. I hope she is connected, but I don't know if she is able now to intervene. But Federica, if you may say something about the issue of tourism, we would be delighted. Because of course, the problem for Croatia, but it was the same, the problem from Italy for this summer was to balance one side to provide security from the US, but on the other side, not to close all the tourism sector, because that would be a huge damage for the economy of the country. So Croatia, as a matter of fact, they did not close absolutely. And there was the big issue of, for instance, you know, people, they go to Pag, you know, Marina, Pag, and the people, they go there, there are thousands of people having party day and night in Pag, and people from all Europe, they go to Pag. Some years ago, even my daughters, they went to Pag to enjoy the life there. On the other side, we have Sardinia. Now there is a problem in Italy because we had an increase of infections because of Sardinia. And Federica, which is your point of view in this?
Well, I think that this pandemic situation is a war, and we have to fight. And to fight, we have to find a compromise between the economy and the health. That for sure is the most important thing. But we cannot think that we can stay all the time closed at home and the kids have to go to school. We have to restart in some way. So we have to find a balance. For sure, we don't know enough about this infection, but we have the tools to go ahead and to win also with this war some way.
Thank you, Federica. Thank you so much. I also would like maybe to ask to Agustina if she wants to take the floor and to add something about her own experience. Agustina, are you on the screen and on the floor? Agustina?
Yes, I'm here, Professor.
Buongiorno, cara.
Yes, buongiorno, Professore. My situation is particular. I'm from Argentina, but I arrived in Italy to study, to make a master the day before the quarantine started. I mean, I arrived and the following day they closed university. So I got stuck in Italy, but in the beautiful Venice. So it is like an experience like weird. And regarding to Turin, it was weird at the beginning seeing an empty Venice, like completely empty with no tourists, no people. And now since the last June, the tourists start to open, and here the situation, I can see like more people, not as many people as Venice used to have, but I see so many people from Germany or France, also from Spain or UK, all European. I mean, Argentina, if I want to go back to my country, I can nowadays, because even airports in Europe are open. In Argentina, they are still closed. So the situation is like, I cannot go back because they are still in quarantine. So I'm here in Venice till this finish.
Thank you. Venice, which is not the ugliest town in the world, of course. In any case.
Obviously, and I will visit you one day.
I hope so. I hope so. But Venice is also involved in the huge issue of tourism. We have been watching some pictures concerning Piazza San Marco, not empty, but of course not overcrowded as it should be during this season. Thank you very much, Agustina, for your contribution. I would like to know if somebody else would like to take the floor. I would like to give the floor to Robert De Vetta, who is a former participant of our MBA. I don't know where is now Robert De Vetta staying, and I don't know if he is connected with us, but I don't know if he's on the screen. Robert, are you available?
Hello, everybody. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I am from the MIB 8, so I am a little bit older. Currently, I am on break. I decided to take a break before the pandemic, actually, at the end of the last year. But I experienced the pandemic during the last months. I was in the company, and this was quite complicated, also because as I used to be a chief executive officer of a medium-sized company, and we were considered also crucial supplier for some hospitals, and it was quite complicated also to work because of bureaucracy, because too many rules were issued, and we have to fight actually with the bureaucracy. I don't know that this happened also in other countries. And I would like also to add another issue, so which is with the education also. This was not mentioned today. We were talking about the economic consequences, political and also social. I have also two kids. They are 13 and 15 years old, and maybe this is also an issue now which we should think about as parents, actually, because it is difficult during this period also to how to deal with this situation, because my children didn't go to school for the last 3 or 4 months. Not hopefully they will start also to attend the lessons, but it is complicated, and we are not able to quantify which damages could we have also from this situation. And to what I said, so I took a break. So this is I am currently. I started also to look for other opportunities, but I wanted also to start in September, and but the economic situation changed actually dramatically. Now we will see.
Thank you so much, Robert, for your contribution. I would like to ask to Roberto Garlatti if he's still on the screen, if he can take the floor, because also his contribution will be interesting. Roberto, are you on the screen? Probably he is quite busy because he's working in a factory producing beer and honey. And he wrote to me a few days ago saying things are going quite well, but he would attend our conversation, but he didn't know if he had the chance also to interact because of work. Patrizia Romito, would you like to say something? No, she's not on the screen. Okay. And then I would like to ask Alessandro Forza, who is a participant of he was a participant of our MBA. But Alessandro, you pay a lot of attention on the international environment. I remember you are extremely sensitive to these issues. Would you like also to express which is your evaluation? Then I will also ask to Alessandra Londero the same. Alessandro.
Yes, thank you. Ciao a tutti. Hello, everybody. And thank you for giving me the floor. I attended, as you said before, the last complete live MBA, the number 20. Nowadays, I'm a deputy general manager in asset management company listed in Italian stock exchanges market. But I have a question for everybody. But firstly, let me say that I'm not satisfied at all. How the news about the pandemic, the virus, came to us or came into us. In my opinion, it is not clear at all what the truth is now. I'm referring to the number of the real patients of the hospitals, not the asymptomatic ones, at least in Italy. I'm curious to know your opinion, but in case you are thinking the news are over-exaggerate compared to the real patient, what is the reason for the script, for the path, for the direction of official number? I don't know if it's
okay.
or not.
First of all, I try to give a short answer to your question, and then whoever wants to add something, please write on the chat, and I will give you the floor. Alessandro, you raise a very important aspect, is the aspect of transparency. Now, we have been thinking a lot about transparency. Who is transparent, who is not transparent, we really don't know. The problem is that in some countries we had huge figures about the pandemic. And how did Italy react to that? It seems to me, but I'm not, of course, in the government, and I cannot say and I cannot declare it, but it seems to me that the Italian government tried to transfer all the data concerning the pandemic. And that is why, since the very beginning, we started to have an exponential growth of the infection in Italy. And we were quite surprised about the fact that at the beginning, both in France and in Germany, the figures were lower. Then in France, they started to raise a lot, even more than Italy in some periods. But in Germany, it was quite reduced. Now, I go back to what Marina was saying. Marina was saying, yes, we do have the problem of the coronavirus pandemic, but we have also many other diseases. And very often there was a melting between coronavirus and other diseases. And how do you classify a person who died because of more than one disease? You put it in the framework of the coronavirus, or you put it in the framework of other illnesses. This is a huge problem, and I don't think that the countries were prepared to set up accurate statistics on this. Now, which is the interest of, just in case, increasing the figures? I was going to ask all our friends coming from countries outside Europe how their countries will face the future. In Europe, we tried now, as you know, in July, we had a very important meeting of the European Council to set up financial measures for the future, the so-called recovery fund, and all the other tools that the European Union has put on the table in order to support the economy in the next months and years. That does not exist in other areas, as far as we know. How the other countries will react to that, we don't know yet. And we don't know even if that will work in Europe. We do hope it will work in Europe. But probably the more you have diseases, the more you will have the right to get financial aid to prepare your recovery. But I refuse to see that the government will lie to say that we have more disease than in the reality in order to get more resources for the recovery. But we can raise all those questions, Alessandro, and think about that. Let's see if there is another intervention. I see something that Luca has written. Moreover, another aspect also mentioned from someone during our discussion is the fact that overall we are forgetting all the other diseases that unfortunately are still present and running day by day. That was Marina. Last aspect that it is interesting, since we are talking of a global health emergency, is about the tests of COVID-19 as currently overcharged and undersupplied. Okay, who can answer to this question? Who has the competence to answer to this question? The coronavirus is overcharged in terms of money, resources, and undersupplied. So that could represent, of course, a big subject of a political discussion. Who wants to say something? Alessandra, would you like to say something about that? Alessandra Londero.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi, Professor Pilotto. Nice to see you all. I may add something about my experiences and education in terms of dealing with the war or a catastrophe. I believe we are in a period of emergency. There are two periods usually in a catastrophe. A period where you have to deal with emergencies, where we are now, and a period where you deal with the reconstruction and development. I hope that in our governments, there would be people that are wise and enough educated to understand which are the challenges of both phases. You mentioned the recovery fund in Europe. I look at the structure in our societies and in our administrations. I hope, and there was mentioned in a program yesterday report where we have only 19% of corruption in our system, and the rest is all lack of competencies. So when we have to face an emergency, we are dealing with it. We have good things and bad things. And there is a question mark also regarding reconstruction and development. Do we have the right resources? Do we have the right system? I believe we have a huge, as far as Italy is concerned, but you can see many other countries, we have a huge bureaucracy, red tape, and a system that is not effective and efficient sometimes. So I hope there are wise people that could look at that thoroughly. As far as the impact of the coronavirus, in my life, I'm a consultant in project financing at the moment, and I'm dealing everything from home. Personally, it's like, in a social way, it's like to go back to previous period where people could speak to each other. So I engage with a nice, let's say, supportive relationship with my neighbors. And that's something really nice that belonged to another life, let's say, to 50 years ago. Then in terms in the economy, in the business industry, let's say, there is this trend of using more and more home office, smart working, and that's it, and that is good. I used to work in kind of smart working at the World Bank 20 years ago in Washington, DC. So maybe we should look at as MIB, School of Management, at ways to help companies with examples from, I don't know, other countries where the smart working or home office is already in use for many years. Maybe it could be a suggestion.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for your speech. Moreover, the issue concerning, of course, how to, first of all, consider the pandemic and how to evaluate the pandemic, that was, of course, raised by the question of Luca Cesare, is increased by the fact that he is one of the managers of Médecins Sans Frontières. He was in the Amazonas area since a few weeks ago, and then he had to come back. He went there for a humanitarian, in the framework of a humanitarian project, and now he's back and he's in quarantine, of course. But it would be, of course, very interesting to hear how he understood the situation while going there in an area in which is not easy, of course, to control the population. We had before also some participants from Africa, but now I understand that cannot stay for 2 hours in front of the screen. But also in Africa, there are very difficult situations, and it's not easy at all to create a discipline inside of the population. It is not even easy in Italy, as I was saying before, or in other countries in Europe, the people they are meeting. We had, you all have been staying in Trieste, I remember, and everybody was remember what is Via Torino in Trieste. Well, in Via Torino there was a scandal because people, they were continuing to go there even during the pandemic without respecting the rules of distance. And the cafe, restaurants, they try to be very flexible in this because they have an economic interest on the other side. The Italian government, as you know, had been giving some help. Before we were talking with Alexandra Bigarella about bike, and Stefano Cardaccione said that also in the UK there was a huge support about bikes. But also in Italy, there was a bonus to buy another bicycle given by the government. That was one of the possible solutions. Also, Stefania is saying the pandemic has highlighted the lack of cooperation among countries. As the gentleman from Argentina mentioned, more than one country is developing a vaccine, US and Germany, UK, Russia. We had the chance of going through COVID-19 together and we miss it. Of course, the longer we leave coronavirus unresolved, even if it means that we will need vaccinated every year, the longer other diseases will be prioritized. Yes, Stefania, this is the huge issue of international competition. As you know, Stefania, there was a race for the vaccine. And Russia, you know, President Putin has declared that they obtained the vaccine, but immediately in the Western countries, there was a skepticism about that because they said that how did they create a vaccine without following the rules that the Organization of World Health has set up. This is of course true, but on the other side, if the vaccine is relevant, if it is useful, the world should welcome it instead of criticizing it. So I understand with you, Stefania, she's an expert of law. She's graduated in law and she's very sensitive to the issues concerning law. I remember that of you, Stefania. And I agree with you. The big issue of the pandemic should have been encourage more and more cooperation. And maybe we could have created an international pool of specialists and scientists that could work together to create a vaccine. But as you also know, because business is business, the vaccine will be also connected with the huge business. The more you get a vaccine, the more you will sell it and you will get resources on that. So it's difficult to transfer this message of international cooperation since we are living on the same earth. Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost 4:30 in Trieste and we are talking since 1 hour and a half. I don't want to abuse of your time, but if anyone would like to add something, maybe our friend Irma Tunnal de Gasperin, if she's still on the screen, I don't know if she's still on the screen, maybe she can say something, or somebody else. There is also a participant, 8NZ8P. I cannot classify this participant, but he or she, if he or she is on the screen, he or she can say something and Robert tell us if he is one of the former students of MIB or if he is a spy of another business school. Who are you, Mr. 8NZ8PA?
Igor.
Can you show yourself? Can you open your camera?
Wait.
Is my friend, our friend Igor Stepancic from Slovenia, a participant of our MBA.
Ciao.
Igor, please take the floor.
I just want to say hi to everyone. I hope you had a nice summer. I had a nice summer, and I had very difficult last 4 months, but I'm still alive, and I hope that the rest of the year will be better than let's say the first 8 months. Yeah. And yeah, it's been something that I think no one of us expected that will happen. And it came like a thunderstorm. Yes, but this is life, and we had to adapt to it and survive. And as a businessman, it was just another challenging situation. And as said, luckily we're still here and working. Work was not that bad during the last 4 months. Yeah, because I have very good clients that were ordering stuff from me, and we managed to supply. So yeah, all in all, it was tough, but it was not that bad. Yeah.
Thank you, Igor. Igor is also working with other areas, not only in Slovenia. He has companies working in the international environment, so he has a huge experience on the global market in this moment. And he knows the fact that Slovenia is a small country, but business opportunities are huge everywhere. So thank you, Igor.
Thank you, Stefano. Take care. Thank you.
Take care of you too. Robert De Vetta, who is now leaving us, he wrote a very interesting statement. He said, in order to manage the pandemic, all the governments, politicians, are granting generous subsidies, and everything is financed with debt. But we are piling up debt for the future generations, and this will be a big challenge on how to deal with. And then he thanks us for this. It's true. The European Union has created the recovery fund, and who is going to pay those almost 1,000 billion euro? The next generations, our children and our nephews, they will have to pay for that, and we should provide enough, I would say, enough for them in order to create richness and to pay back the debt, because the debt is the debt. We cannot cancel the debt. This is a very good statement, Robert. Thank you so much. And who else would like to say something in the conclusion? We have Fabrizio Rambaldi, he's back. Fabrizio, are you on the screen now? Can you say something? No. Okay.
Professor.
So, yes.
I would like to ask take an advantage that we are all here. Many of us are dual citizens, Italians and Argentinians, not related to coronavirus, but it will sure be connected somehow. You know, there is a referendum going on in Italy in September that was postponed. I wanted to have a little analysis from you, because there is like a huge debate whether it's demagogy or whether it's really necessary to improve the process of lawmaking in Italy. I would like to hear your opinion on that.
Thank you for the question. Of course, I give you my personal opinion, but everyone in Italy has its own opinion. This is a referendum to reduce the number of the member of the parliament. Of course, it could be an interesting proposal, because that means that we will reduce the public expenses, because as you know, the member of the parliament, they get quite a huge salary. And do we need so many members of the parliament? The country has more than 62 million inhabitants. It's not, of course, a very small country concerning the population. It's the number 8 or number 9 in the economies of the world. So Italy has an impact in the world economy. And moreover, the international trade of Italy is important. Personally, I don't think that this should be a priority. Sometimes the governments, they propose, or some parties, they propose some measures in order to obtain more support from the population. Personally speaking, I think that now we can reduce the member of the parliament, so we increase the responsibility of those that would remain in the parliament. But nevertheless, I think that what is very important now for Italy, and not only for Italy, but for the rest of the world, is to have governments that seriously take care of the needs of the population and seriously try to prepare an itinerary of cooperation in the next future. This would be, in my opinion, the priority. then you can find, Marco, in every country some new measures, because the teams that are on the power, they would like to preserve their presence in the power. They would like to extend the length of their stay in the power, and sometimes they invent some new measures in order to get some votes. Now we have a lot of priority. The priority is the economy, the work for the younger people. We on the other side, we accepted it. Personally, I appreciated a lot the speech that Mr. Mario Draghi delivered a few days ago in the meeting in Rimini, and when he said, of course, that we have to invest a lot in the education and for the young generation. Also because, as Robert said before, they will have to pay the debt. So at least we have to do something for them, because they will have to share on their shoulder the burden of the debt in the future. So this is an interesting priority, and we will see who is going to interpret it in the best possible way, this issue. Ladies and gentlemen, if nobody wants to add something, I'm going probably to end this conference. I see also on the screen that there is a new participant of Origini, who is Constance Mateos. Constance, would you like to say something, probably, if you are on the screen?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm here. How are you? I didn't want to jump in because I'm not alumni, but just wanted to say thank you. I'm in Argentina, and thank you, everyone. It was great what I heard from all of you, and thank you for the last question, because I have to vote as well, and it's important to know what being there. So thank you so much. Thank you, Marco, for asking, and looking forward to get there.
Yes, thank you. I hope so, that we will receive you as the other Origini participant. We will do our best. Now we are, of course, facing the huge problem of transportation. I also would like to leave the floor to Artem. Artem, you started the conversation. Please have a couple of words at the end of the conversation.
Thank you, Professor, for the opportunity to participate, first of all. But what I should notice, first of all, it's pretty cool that we can really share openly share the thoughts on such a actually big issue, in my opinion. People from worldwide. It's good that we can talk. It would be better, much more, if we could cooperate on the international level. What I really mean, first of all, international efforts and international understanding in terms of what we really, our countries really can do, what we're capable to do, from search of vaccines or medical solutions to the situation, to economic support. In my opinion, what I noticed, our world is getting less global, less open. And we and you humanitarians probably can give us a real opportunity to find the way to communicate better. That's why I again would like to thank you, Professor, and all participants here. It's really helpful for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have to thank you for proposing this. MIB Trieste School of Management, as you know, is our school, is our house, is a huge tool of communication, of dialogue, and we consider it as an example also for other institutions, obviously. For instance, when we had the explosion of the pandemic, there was also I would say, a reaction, solidarity among the MIB alumni community. We had some Chinese participants that sent masks to us, such as Walter Yu and other participants that were attending our classes from Generali China. They sent us some hundreds of masks to the MIB community and to our school, and we are very grateful. Moreover, the MIB community has been collecting resources for the intensive therapy of the hospitals on Trieste during the pandemic, and that was another, I would say, step undertaken by our community to react in a positive way. So the dialogue, the communication, the transparency, and the mutual help, I think, are some of the pillars of our community, and should be also the pillar of countries, of administrations. But the role, as you know, of advanced and modern schools is to teach values. And I think that this conversation was not only intellectual pleasure for me, but I think it was also a great moment of learning from each other. And we will propose to you more chances to interact, to have, of course, conferences. Some of our students are very far. They do not, of course, have the chance to go back to Trieste very easily, and we perfectly understand that. But thanks to the technology, we can interact, we can say something, we can propose, we can raise questions, we can create brainstorming, and from maybe some of you will write down something, or will have more proposals to add to the others. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a true pleasure to have all of you with us. Our school is thanking you, as I thank Carolina Meucci, Valentina Savino, and all the colleagues that have been organizing this webinar. And let's continue to check and pay attention about the international situation. And if we can help each other, as you know, we will do it with a lot of pleasure. Vi ringrazio molto, and keep your MIB spirit, because this is one of the most important strengths and forces that we have. Thank you so much. Grazie a tutti. Bye bye.
Bye.